Wow.
I thank you so much for, your ability to teach and the fact that you went out and did it on your own. But it really boils down to what you said in the last segment. You have to have the desire to live free. People's conception, how they've led us to be consumers. It doesn't surprise me that so little have actually ever even grown a tomato, but your desire of wanting to live free is actually something that we talk about very extensively here. You have such an amazing story, and, I kind of have one similar to yours, although I'm not a successful survivalist. I'm just a woman who wanted to be free. And I left everything behind and, had this dream. And I literally had nothing. And I was in a wheelchair with my 2 daughters. So I just basically drove around the country and 6 days later found a place with a lot of water and trees and said, this is it. Okay, so now what? So I'm going to, I think it's easier to teach people by hearing your story, so put yourself back in those shoes. You drove 1,000 miles north. You got there. What was the first thing you did?
Oh, wow. We looked at the first thing, we drove into town. We didn't know a single person outside of Arizona. And so when we arrived...
Did you know where you were going?
No,
I mean,
actually, we were thinking we were going to go to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, because we had sent off for some free pamphlets, and it was beautiful. And so we were headed there, but we ended up in Helena, Montana, and we got a motel at Motel 6. We woke up the next morning, and we were in this, it's a little valley where they had discovered gold a century before, and it's just in a mining camp, 3 German miners. And so we come out, and there's these big, fluffy snowflakes, and we haven't been around snow before, and it was just poetic and beautiful. And I turned to my wife and my 2 little girls that were 3 and 5 years old, and I said, I think this will do. And they were cold. They were shivering. They just wanted to go back into the room. But after that, we went to a motel across town that was hiring. My wife walked in and got a job as a maid. Now, previously, she made 6 figures, and now she's working as a maid. Never complained. It's about humbling yourself, because we've got to be willing to do that if we want. It's how much do we want freedom? That was the first thing. The next thing we did was get a basement apartment that was actually a storage room, and it had a faucet and a toilet, and was about 150 square feet. And we lived in there for almost a year, just getting prepared and getting some land and working odd jobs, bartering for our supplies, our windows, everything we could, our tools, and just hit the ground running. And it's a lot of hard work, and but we never...
You had a dream, you had a desire, and although you didn't have all the groundwork laid out, you just said, I'm going to do it, and went up there and did it, just one step at a time.
Exactly, just like you did. Just got in your RV and just drove, and then found your place and said, this is it.
I didn't have an RV. We didn't travel in style, honey.
Yeah, but you've done the same. You're doing the same thing. I mean, it all is just a choice and altering your life and not buying into this lie that we are to be successful and to make money. Because you know what? It's all a scam. It's just to get us to build the apparatus that imprisons us and makes the global bankers wealthy.
Exactly. And you know what you say is absolutely true. If you can't produce your own food, you will sell yourself to slavery, out of hunger. And, I think now people do it because we've been trained that way, this more materialistic society, keep up with the Joneses, spend money that doesn't exist to impress your neighbor. But it is, it's basically at a survival point now. What do you think? I mean, I'm aware that people can, even if you are living in a tract home in a city, you can still produce at least half of your food with your little backyard. What would you recommend for people who don't have acres of land, how they could get started in just at least producing, say, 25% of their food, which I think is a pretty good goal?
Yeah, it's a good step. However, I think we're running out of time. I think that this thing could collapse within days or weeks. So I think first thing is have an escape plan of where you're going to go. But I tell you, one solution that I tell people is to just put the word out to 10 friends that you want to grow a garden, but you don't have land, and do they know anybody that lives rural that has some extra land? And of course, everybody knows somebody that is living out in the country, and they usually have 10 to 100 acres. And you can just go out, introduce yourself, and pitch them your idea that you would like to grow a half acre or a quarter acre garden over here with heirloom seeds. You'll come out once a week. You won't be any disruption, and you'll share, a third or a half of your garden with them, and that you're just a city person. You can people, and then you build a network, you build friendships, and now you got a place to maybe escape if things get chaotic. But that's one solution. The other is to just grow in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you were to grow in your backyard.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We have such a major delay tonight. Sorry about that.
We're going to have to work this. Yeah, because it's like 5 or 7 seconds delayed. But no, if you were to, say if you're a suburban person who wanted to get some seeds to prepare for, the New World Order cracking down and martial law and all that, and whatever chaos is to ensue from that, what kind of seeds what would a person need to purchase from survivalistseeds.com? And how much would such a purchase run?
Well, great question. I've taken all the guesswork out of it, because every other seed seller gives you thousands of choices. But that is how gardeners are. Gardeners love to pick and choose like they're at the supermarket. We don't have time for that, and I'm dealing with people that haven't grown a garden. So I have selected 24 varieties, and I have put them in bulk, 15,000 seeds, and I say, this is it, take it or leave it. And so I take all the guesswork out of it. These are the seeds and the food that I grew in Montana. I've grown here in Kansas. I've sold all over the world. It grows absolutely everywhere, because the most important thing is good soil, and just to have water. If you have good soil and water and a little bit of sun, you're going to have a great garden. It's not rocket science. And I think people have been scared away by the gardening experts who are just trying to sell a book. But what they do is they take 100 years worth of experience and knowledge, and they cram it in a book. They sell it for $39.95, and it scares the McJeebies out of everybody that sees it, because they're like, I can never do this. Listen, gardening is this. You take a seed, you put it in the ground about 1/4 of an inch, don't measure, and just water it and leave it alone. When weeds grow up around it, pull the weeds. It's that easy. There's a lot of gardening methods that are no-till, so you don't have to till the soil. You don't need a rototiller. You just use compost if you want, organic. You could use fertilizer. Most of my seeds are certified organic, but you can do it any way you want to. There's just a ton of free information on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet. You can be a master gardener in no time. And of course, we have a lot of information that's free about saving seeds, storing seeds, growing seeds at our website at survivalistseeds.com.
So with these 24 types of seeds, I mean, how much would this survivalist starter pack cost the customer?
It's $129, and it's over 4 pounds of seed. and it's 24 varieties. So it's